Okay, everyone, here is another video. This is number 2. If you watched my first one, hopefully you saw how we did some factoring and even used a zero property on one of them. But the thing to keep in mind is definitely you're going to be doing a lot of polynomials in IM3. More complex than maybe you've been used to. But anyway, let's get started. Here we go. So in this one, again, you've probably been doing this since IM1. I'm just simply adding these two polynomials together. So I know that 3x squared and 5x squared, for example, is 8x squared. I know this minus 5x and that 4x is simply a minus 1x, or as we say, minus x. So as you can see, that's my answer, but let's just go ahead and finish it up. We did the x squareds, we did the x's. Now, what about minus 6 and a plus 4? Well, that's minus 2. And again, as you can see, that's exactly what we got for choice C. Pause the video if you need to. Number 6, now this one's more important in a way because a lot of you guys forget about it. With a minus, you got to distribute that minus. So what we really have there is a minus 5x squared. And what we have right here is a minus 4x. And then finally, the minus with the 4 makes minus 4. Now you can take this with this and combine them together. So let's go ahead and do 3x squared minus 5x squared. That's negative 2x squared. So as you can see, it's got to be A or C. And see how they just changed the sign to try to trick you. So now that the x squareds are done, what about minus 5x and minus 4x? You should know that's minus 9x. Both have a minus 9x. And then finally, we have minus 6. Or was that a plus 6? Ooh, that would have been a silly mistake. No, that's a minus 6. Okay, so we have minus 6, minus 4, which we should know is minus 10. That's why the answer was A, right? So, pause the video if you need to. Okay, now let's talk a little lingo here. Factor are those pieces that you break things apart into. So this one's asking for a common factor. So we're going to take this expression, and this is something, again, you don't see too much in IM2. But this is a difference of 2 squared. You got to recognize that. So this right here is really an x plus 3 times an x minus 3. Difference of 2 squareds. Now, what about this one over here? Well, if I was to factor that one, I would get x times x. That's my x squared. I know 3 times 2 is the 6. Now, how do I get a plus 1x? Is I'm going to do a positive 3 minus 2. And also note that 3 times negative 2 is negative 6, so it worked perfectly. So going back to the question, they want to know, what do these two expressions have in common? What factor do they have in common? Well, they both have an x plus 3 in common, and so that's why the choice was C. Okay, going on to this problem number 8 here. 4x, they're telling us, is one factor of this. As a matter of fact, let's just go ahead and do a GCF of 4x on it. So hopefully you agree 4x times x here is 4x squared. Notice the minus. And then the 12x has to be 3, right? Because 4 times 3 is 12. Don't forget there's an x already accounted for right there. So getting to the question, we know that 4x is one factor. See, each of these pieces is a factor. Well, what's the other factor? X minus 3. Okay, pause the video if you need to. All right, well, let's do one more here, guys. So what about this one? Well, they want us to factor this. So first of all, we're going to do d times d for d squared. We're going to do 7 times 7 for 49. How do I get a minus 14 here? Is I'm going to do a negative 7 and a negative 7 to get negative 14, right? And notice how these two are the same exact factor or expression. So another way to write it is d minus 7 squared. And IM3 guys, get used to more squares and cubes, by the way. But anyways, now you can see the answer, right? It's answer B. Pause the video if you need to. Okay, guys, so this concludes my second video. Again, all of these problems are essential that you know for IM3. And hopefully, by the way, if you're one of my IM2 students, this is encouraging you because you're going, hey, this is not much different than what we've been doing in IM2. Just maybe a little bit higher, maybe some bigger powers or whatever. But know that, again, in IM3, many more polynomials, higher order polynomials, etc. A lot of factoring. Okay, until next time, guys. Bye.